Good afternoon. It's Celeste of Astrology by Celeste. Yes, it is. On this, it's gloomy out here, but that's okay. We need the rain in order to make the flowers grow. Yes, we do. I'm so excited. I'm going to have a conversation with Ocean Pleasant. She is just brilliant. Let's see. Welcome, everyone. Let's see. Let me make sure I have Ocean. There she goes. The live. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Joy. So nice to see you, and Lily and everyone. Yes, it's a beautiful Friday. We have a sun in Capricorn and the moon in Taurus. Yeah, this beautiful trine is of Earth energy. So hopefully you are feeling grounded and enjoying some sensual pleasures. I went out last night to this great restaurant, A16. Kay Taylor, who is the president of OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrology, and I had dinner. And her son is the chef at this amazing restaurant. Oh my God, the food was so good. It was such a Taurus moon experience, conjunct Jupiter. Hi. Oh, there we go. Let me see. Here's Ocean. Yeah, I overdid it. Oh, my tummy was full at the end. Oh my God, we have burrata and prosciutto. And uh, did I let you join? Let me try it again. Except sometimes you have to push the button. Hi, Narayana. Narayana is an amazing astrologer. Okay, there it goes. Yay.
Hi,
Hi, Ocean. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm excited to chat
I'm
today.
so excited for our talk as well. Where are you now? Are you in Hawaii?
I am, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so let's start with I like people to introduce themselves, but I will say before I let you introduce yourself. So Ocean and I met in Deborah Silverman's astrology school, and she is just so dynamic and such an overachiever. I love it. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Miss Forbes 30 under 30.
Thank you. So I'm a full-time astrologer. I'm certified by Deborah Silverman's program, and yeah, I think I'm just weaving all these different backgrounds together makes me feel like one of my purposes is to create room for people's multitudes, and
Love that.
give people a deeper sense of peace as to who they are and what they're meant to do, and to make room for every aspect of you and every facet of your dreams and curiosities. Because I have so many dreams and I've been so many people. Um, and so, the Forbes 30 under 30 thing feels like a lifetime ago when I was working in startups in New York City, and now I'm, sipping tea, reading star charts next to a stream in Hawaii. So, we go through lots of different changes, and I feel very privileged to be able to help shepherd some of those changes for other people.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And I didn't realize you studied esoteric astrology. Like I knew you had some background in that,
Yeah.
but why don't you explain to people what esoteric
Mhm.
astrology is for those who don't know?
The way that I like to think of it is it's the study of the soul, right? And this idea of what your soul agreements are coming into this lifetime, and what is the collaboration between your soul agreements and free will in this human vessel. And so, really thinking of it as there's no, at least in my mind, there's no like bad placement. There's no transit that's out to get you. What's happening is concurrent with agreements that you signed up for, that then you get to be the painter with the canvas of this chart, the canvas of this life, and create this image in collaboration with your soul agreements. So that's at least how I experience it.
I love that soul agreement as versus fate is I think what the essence of it is. Yeah, and understand the balance of the free will to be able to do with these transits and try to just be prepared and not scared, which can sometimes be hard when you see something coming.
Yeah.
I remember I was so scared of Uranus coming to my sun, and it was a wonderful transit, but just awakened me to other, other ways of being. So yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Yes. And Alice Bailey, do you study her a lot as well?
Yeah.
From the...
Here we go. Alice Bailey's book on esoteric astrology, right here.
Wonderful. I love it. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
And this is such a big transit. Yeah. Okay. Wait, let me see. Big up. Ah. Oh, someone, nice. But Fanaga said a big up for Deborahman astrologer. She's helped make some great astrologers. So, so cute. True. Anna has that book and pure poetry, she says. Yeah, I love that. Oh, hi, J. Cole. So nice to see you. Yeah, anyone who's new to Ocean, you could do the carrot at the top and follow her. If you're new to me, you can follow me. Yeah, we're going to be talking about making Pluto personal. I think this is such a great topic on the day where the sun at 29 degrees of Capricorn is conjunct Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn.
Yeah.
Finishing up this long work it's been doing since 2008. And tomorrow they both move into Aquarius. And it's really significant that they're going to meet at 29:59 and then go into Aquarius. First the sun and then Pluto tomorrow. I hope I said that right. I think the sun first. It must be. Okay. So how do you want to start talking about how do we make this really personal, this transit or any Pluto transit?
I want to start by like tapping into like nervous system awareness and reclamation of personal power, because I think especially where Pluto is concerned, there can be a lot of fear mongering and a lot of clickbait. And it's a once in 18 to 20 year event. So it makes sense that the entire internet is talking about it and trying to get you to download their post or their guide, or, it makes sense, right? We live in this digital age of how can we capture attention. And so in a space like astrology that is a $2.2 billion industry with no widespread accreditation, there's going to be a lot of opinions and there's going to be a lot of, bits and pieces thrown at you. And so if we do just like really, consider the esoteric perspective that, if you are someone who has a Pluto transit on the horizon, right, you would not be going through an initiation that you were not ready for. And so the human ego thinks, I'm not ready, I'm scared, I don't want my life to change, or I don't want to experience loss or some type of rebirth. But the funny thing is, like, you wouldn't, this is your timing. So the nervous system reset and settling into, I wouldn't be going through anything that wasn't meant for me. And can we reframe Pluto as not this thing happening to us that we need to be afraid of, but how to make it personal, how to think of yourself in collaboration with this force that is seeking you out at this divine moment, this intersection of your life for some bigger purpose. So I like to start conversations about Pluto that way, because it can get really dark and intense and scary. And I don't appreciate when conversations take that turn, because it goes against the fundamental nature that this is part of your karma.
Yes. Well, and Pluto unearths things within us, and it's uncomfortable. But life is not supposed to be comfortable every minute. But ultimately, it's being brought to our conscious awareness for healing. And like you said, transformation. And sometimes we have to be rebirthed in a way that's uncomfortable, that sometimes encounters feelings of loss or aloneness. But ultimately, it can be really empowering to know you have the strength to accept things for as they really are, rather than the fantasy. How funny we're talking about this when Venus is square Neptune, a planet of fantasy. And things being all shiny and happy Venus in a lot of ways. On a Venus day, talking about this Plutonic energy. I love it.
And it's, analogy that I use a lot about Pluto is the idea of compost, right? Just to make it really practical. Like, the day you throw all your veggie scraps into the garden is not the day you have fertilizer. It would be so nice if it happened that fast, but it doesn't, right? There's, months and months of decomposition required so that what was can nourish what's next. And this, like, again, Pluto, I think, is the biggest argument for trusting the timing of your own life from an astrological perspective, because he moves so slow, right? Like on average 1.6 to 2 degrees a year. Like that's very slow.
Yes.
um, and it's kind of like Pluto. If I give Pluto a voice, I hear Pluto saying, let me do what I do. Like, give me, back off. I'm
Uh-huh.
here for a reason. Let me do my work. I work best unencumbered. Do not rush me. If you rush me or resist me, we're going to get a little dicey. We're going to take our gloves off. But really, I'm here for you. But I need my time to do what I need to do. It's like a mechanic that's like, you're going to get your car back when you get it back. No sooner.
I love that. Yes, because I don't remember who said this, but someone said, I wish I remember the astrologer who said it. Pluto moves at the speed of a glacier, so slow. Couple year transit whenever you have a Pluto transit, because it's going to room over that part of your chart.
Mm.
But it has the impact of a tsunami. So when you turn around and look back, it's like, wow, uh,
Yeah.
your life has changed in a lot of ways, and hopefully for the
Yeah.
better. If you are, yeah, if you are aligned with not trying to fight the change every minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of remembering that it's a very like slow and steady wins the race, that
Mm-hmm.
glacier speed of sometimes I think the fear mongering of Pluto, it creates this idea that Pluto's gonna happen overnight in your face, like a jump scare. But this is a long movie. This is not a jump
Mm-hmm.
scare scary movie. This is like a, a long epic where you look back and your origin story, your turning point was really defined and cultivated over the course of this, what we think of as world building. When you pick up a really thick book, right? Or a book that has 10 novels, or a series that has 10 novels in it, it's the world building, So the girl doesn't become the hero in the first chapter, and neither does our transformation. Just like, oh, how convenient, like poop, like, and that's when you're looking for like more immediate change or shifts, like, Uranus moves a lot faster. It's the disruptor. Like, so understanding the archetype of the planets is so
Yeah.
important because Pluto's not doing anything
No,
fast.
no. I mean, it can feel sometimes if you have an event like a volcano eruption in your life, it can sometimes feel fast. But if you look back, it's been coming, it's been coming, it's been
Yeah.
coming. Yeah. And yeah, I love that. And tell everybody your sun, moon, and rising.
I'm a Pisces sun in the 12th house, and I'm an Aries rising and Aries moon. And I have Saturn conjunct my rising sign. So it kind of plants the Aries a little bit. Like it puts my Aries, like puts its ass in its seat a little bit. Like, all right, let's chill out. But yeah, double Aries Pisces sun.
That is so perfect. Like that Pisces sun in the 12th house, having this access to all of this wisdom, I feel that you share on such a deep level for someone so young. Yeah, but that Aries looking forward to any kind of challenge with this opportunity of adventure. That's so Aries, and I'm an Aries
Yeah.
moon, so I love that.
You know how it is. And I think it also, working with people, the kind of, I love to become someone's biggest cheerleader, right? Just so I think that Aries comes through in my readings where I'm like, and why not? And let's make this happen and let's push this obstacle and let's like really, so stylistically, every practitioner brings their own flair to it. And I think that I have this general sense of like intuitive optimism of let's like really tackle this for you and let's bring spirit into it, but let's not get stuck there.
Yes. Can I ask where your Mars is?
My Mars is in Virgo opposite my sun.
Ah, Mars and Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you help people with the steps
Mm-hmm.
to get to where they want to go. Yeah, that's a really interesting Aries rising, Mars and Virgo. So that your chart ruler is a quincunx. So, and quincunxes can be like a little, like they don't see each other clearly. So how has that showed up in your life? Do you mind me asking?
Sure. I have noticed the House of Mars has played a really big role in my life because it's in the sixth. And so if I'm not taking action to move my body, to eat in a way that feels nourishing, to have routines that feel actionable, that I can look back and see progress incrementally. That, you know, the Pisces would very much love to just kind of go with the flow always, but that Mars in Virgo is like being my chart ruler, going, no, we on a day-to-day level, we have to be accountable to why we're here. We have to take care of this body. You have to move your energy. And so I guess a way to describe that is I have begun training Muay Thai, which is Thai kickboxing. And,
Oh,
and I train 2 to 3 hours a day. And if I did not have that release for my, like, the Virgo to get like really detailed on learning something, but then also the Mars crystal activation, being Mars ruled, being a double Aries, like I have so much in here that I need to get out. But because I'm a 12th house sun, my energy is not confronting. It's like this inner fire that needs somewhere to go. So really bridging that, again, like 150-degree angle of two places not seeing, understanding each other, is the bridge is movement as self-care for me.
I love that. And with Saturn on your ascendant, you have the discipline to do these actions, like stay with this routine for hours every day. I love it. You are just living your chart. That's so beautiful.
I wasn't always, but it's part of the process. So I think that was, even not doing it was part of the process just as much as doing it, you know?
Yeah, wow. Oh, Carol is saying that Pluto got real personal today.
Mm.
They had to put their last dog down. So, yeah. So you want to talk, do you want to say something about Pluto with the death and rebirth archetype and
Yeah, it's so funny. I love talking with you, Celeste, because there's so much wisdom in different ways of interpreting, and the beauty of mundane astrology, like prescribing reason to events, and in esoteric astrology, it I usually I'm more delicate in my approach, where I offer this disclaimer, especially when heavy things come up in a reading, where I usually say I would never use astrology to justify loss or trauma. What we're doing is we're examining the energetic overlay, right? Just like a weather report where you go out and it's raining and you get soaked, right? And we try not to take it personally that we got caught in the rain, and we don't say that the rain was your fault.
Mhm.
And so thinking about transits in that way, where the energetic overlay has been a heightened sense of intensity and loss and rebirth and getting initiated in such a powerful way, um, that, I mean, my heart goes out to anyone who's experiencing grief or trauma or loss at this time. And how is it punctuated by Pluto? How is it punctuated by these transits? And it's an initiation. It's teaching us that, like, the beauty of that relationship was that it wasn't forever. And how are you transformed in your work as a human being as a result of trusting the timeline, the sacredness of how long that lasted.
Yes. And if you take a step back with looking at the other transits going on, so for Carol, I'm sure her chart is impacted. Yesterday was Mercury sextile Saturn and Pisces. So Mercury and Capricorn, she got hard news from some kind of authority, probably the vet, sextile Saturn in Pisces, that it was time for the end, for compassion, to let the pet go. And she's Venus square Neptune. It's a day to just let the tears flow, understand Sun on Pluto, the impermanence of life. Imagine if we all just lived forever, ever, life wouldn't have any special
Yeah,
meaning to it.
yeah,
So yeah, this is a good time. Hopefully Carol has a couple of days to just grieve and remember the beautiful the Neptune. Remember the beautiful times with your dog. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And I think that's another sacred reminder of Pluto, is that everything has a life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Our pets, our careers, our even some relationships, where we live, everything has a life cycle. And so what we experience as this, punctuation of a Pluto transit, is it's revealing where in your life your attention is being drawn to the life cycle of that thing. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at the house or you look at what it's conjunct, for instance, let's say, I've been working with a client who had Pluto conjunct her Venus in Capricorn for, 3.5 years. And really just grounding into the experience of your relationships, but also your outlook on love, how you fill your own cup, your self-love. All of these things are being transformed, and it's okay if you do not define love the same way you have in the past. In fact, it might almost be expected of this period of time, is the life cycle of your outlook on relationship. Like, something is massively shifting. And whether that's breaking up or renewing your vows or opening your relationship, just anything that allows for a new life cycle to begin.
Yes, yes. And that Pluto and Capricorn, when the nodes, the North Node in Aries, the South Node in Libra. So letting go of some maybe old paradigms around relationships and finding the independence in them, because the nodes are squaring Pluto, even though it's widening, and it's going to move to a sextile and
Yeah.
trine when it goes into Aquarius. But yeah, there's been a lot of people at crossroads, especially people are having like these plutonic transits with it on Venus or your Mercury or whatever. Yeah, I love that. I love how you phrase that, Ocean. That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And do you want to say anything about the work we've been doing in Pluto in Capricorn specifically, and
Yeah.
how it's transforming as it moves into Aquarius?
There's a few things that stand out really clearly about our collective experience of Pluto and Capricorn. So the most obvious would be when it moved into Capricorn, the sign of business, in 2008, right? The American economy crashed, right? And Wall Street was revealed as a house of cards. And if you think about Pluto as one of the things it does on a collective level is it power checks that which has gone too far in one direction, whether it be greed or consolidation of wealth and power, or missing the larger point or getting too off course. Pluto power checks, right?
Mhm.
Pluto checks you and gets you back in line, like, all right, this is not what we intended, or this is where we're getting society back in line. And so I love that. I mean, Pluto came in like a wrecking ball. And I mean, obviously, there were so many lives impacted by the 2008 financial crisis, but Capricorn literally being the sign of business and structures of power. And Pluto came in like a wrecking ball. The other thing, too, that I noticed about the high road, the esoteric interpretation of Capricorn is sovereignty. And we've seen also, of course, being the sign of business, entrepreneurship has bloomed more in 2008 since ever before. The concept of being your own boss, working from home, having more sovereignty in your career is a relatively new concept. And I think Pluto came in and disrupted the old archetype, the old notion of success that Capricorn very much was beholden to. You go to school, you get this internship, which turns into a promotion, and then you have this 401k, and you go into this and this. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course,
Mhm.
but the Plutonian urge to turn our existing idea of success on its head was really underscoring, 2008 to 2024. That's what this time has been. What
Yes.
what does success mean to you? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to base your sovereignty on? And you have more ingenuity, you have more options, you're more industrious than you realize. And I think that's what Pluto's been doing to people.
Yes, it has. I quit my corporate career. I was in sales, marketing, and business development for 25 plus years. And
Yeah,
I was like, enough of this. I want to be my own authority.
yeah,
And I jumped off a cliff to become a full-time astrologer. And I love it. Yeah. And
it's
it's
so fun.
scary. These big sweeping changes can be scary where we remodel. Pluto remodels things. It like burns things down to the studs in order to be rebuilt. And I really feel that intensity of what
Yeah.
I've been doing over the last several years, 5 years or whatever. Uh-huh.
And it's such an interesting duality, because I mean, I consider myself quite progressive, and I'm not intending to get political here, but the nature of what it did to economies around the world, right, is it revealed the underbelly of late stage
Yep.
capitalism, right? Like, you know, with like very clear and concise data, there's been an insane wage gap and consolidation of wealth and power, right? I mean, like even the idea, the turn of phrase of the 1% came out of Pluto and Capricorn, right? It made us aware of the power structures around consolidation of wealth and business and success. And I think that it's an important kind of, you know, the sovereign esoteric definition of Capricorn may not have anticipated that it would come to describe capitalism. And so it's an interesting arm of Capricorn, capitalism. And so there's this nature of, if anything gets too far blown in one direction, it gets power checked and brought back to the studs, like you said, right? So there's this shift where in any ways that we've become too insulated in this hyper individualism of I need to make it and I need this and I'm going to be this and I have these goals. Aquarius is about broadening back up to the collective and remembering the importance of community and mutual aid and having each other's backs when systems fail us. And so I believe deeply that where the pendulum has swung too deep into hyper individualism, we're swinging back into how do we remember the whole? How do we remember that nothing we do exists in a vacuum? That where I'm living right now, my sovereignty, the freedom of my soul is not exempt from the suffering of someone else on the other side of the planet. And that's Aquarius.
I love that. Yeah, we had all of the too big to fail, and yeah, yeah, just the consolidation of greed and the Wall Street. I forget what it was called. Stop Wall Street. Do you remember
Occupy.
what?
It was Occupy
Occupy
Wall
Wall
Street. Yeah.
Street. Such a, oh yeah, such a Pluto and Capricorn.
Right.
And it's like, and when Pluto is moves so slow, it's 12 to 30 years in a sign. But when it's changing signs, there's this back and forth that happens. And we're experiencing this. It went into Aquarius for a little bit last year, and we saw Chat GPT and the power of AI technology and how it can transform the collective. But then it went back into Capricorn, and it's back now. It's going back into Aquarius, but it's going to go back into Capricorn one more time at the election. And it's going to be a 29 Capricorn, where we're going to have, like, literally Joe Biden and Donald Trump are Pluto and Capricorn at the 29th degree. These older people who have influence on all of us. When we had the election in 2020, Mars was retrograde, and Mars rules competition, and retrogrades bring reoccurrences of previous situations. So it, like, the astrology supports them being the two people fighting it out, and they're both in different ways. Donald Trump as a real estate person who just is all about the conspicuous consumption and just wealth, 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 and Joe Biden as a government official, big business and big government official for like since he was in his 30s, I think. It just makes so much sense when you see it on this bigger level of what we're dealing with and what decisions we are making, how they're going to impact the future.
Yeah.
It's really profound, I think.
And I think of it too as kind of when it's, you know, teetering over into that new into this new chapter, right, with specifically the way that the underbelly of Capricorn has lended itself to capitalism and imperialism. To me, it's like this last great roar of the powers that be, of imperialism, white knuckling the systems that have served them and upheld them and kept them separate for so long. And they're feeling the radicalization of the whole, of community, of people coming together, of technology showing us what's happening on all corners of the world. You can't hide what's happening in Congo. You can't hide what's happening around the world. And it's these powers that be going, oh, like, this increase, this diversement of access to information, Aquarius, social media, knowing what's happening at this very moment on the other side of the world, Aquarius, radicalization, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It's the rebel. It is the radical. And so shit's about to get radical. It is radical. And so there's this, I mean, 2024, again, when it dips back into Capricorn for the final time in this, you know, carnation for us, And around election season, like we already see this happening, right? We see, like, I'm not speaking to or for anyone in this moment, but people being angry about how their tax dollars are being used to fund war or to
Mhm.
do, like that's very Capricorn and Aquarius, this tug of war as it teeters over that final degree of like, we don't want to be represented the same way anymore, or we don't want to see things done the same way anymore. And it is this last great roar. It's uncomfortable
Mhm.
being at a final degree,
Yeah.
right? The significance of a final degree. It is this, I picture, I volunteered in a birthing clinic when I was younger. And I remember, just getting so familiar with at what centimeter did all the mothers like start to push, and everyone rallied around them to start pushing, right? And and so you think of it like 2024 is that like 10 centimeter moment, that final push into a new reality, right? It's like we are literally being born into a new age, and labor for most people is uncomfortable.
Incredibly uncomfortable. Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy to like that birthing canal analogy. That's really beautiful. Oh, someone asked, what is your Mercury? Is it in Pisces, Aries, or Aquarius? Ah, I love that. Beautiful. Yeah. Let me see if there are any other. Yeah, someone's downsizing. That's a good way to use this energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts about Pluto and Aquarius, like things that you see coming up for us as a collective?
Absolutely. I think the thing I'm most worried about, and I'm not a doomsday astrologer,
Hmm.
but what I am worried about, right? The rapid acceleration of technology that we don't have infrastructure or legislation to hold accountable or pace ourselves. And what I mean by that is, some people might not be familiar with deep fakes, which
Yeah.
is the artificial rendering, basically taking someone's likeness and making it so convincing that even a loved one wouldn't be able to tell between you and someone else pretending to be you, right? That is a concern as far as how technology could be used to power grab, right?
Mhm.
Which Pluto power, Aquarius technology is, I think that the first 5-10 years of Pluto and Aquarius, we are going to have to reconcile that we do not have a society that knows how to handle such a fast acceleration of technology, right? From deep fakes to artificial intelligence. We've seen this, obviously increase of AI and Bitcoin and blockchain. And I think all of that is finally going to have its true moment. I
Mhm.
think that Capricorn was too early for it.
Yeah.
We saw the industriousness of entrepreneurs found things like the blockchain and
Mhm.
Ethereum and Dogecoin and all of these different, but it was still a little too early for people to accept alternative forms of payment and value, right? But I think collectively we're going to start opening up to new technologies. We're also potentially at risk of being victimized by the acceleration of it. And I think
Definitely.
also, to be clear, what I'm truly worried about is the role of advanced technology at that final roar, that 29-degree election cycle, because we're already seeing this spread of fake news. There are videos of Joe Biden saying things that are completely artificially edited,
Yeah.
that aren't even his mouth moving. But you can literally, if you are good at that technology, you can make it look like someone is saying whatever you want them to say. If you synthesize the audio of their voice with enough of a data tree to funnel into. Like, it's very complicated, but the idea is, with so many Americans in particular, like barely even knowing how to add a new friend on Facebook, do you think your grandmother is going to know the difference between artificial AI Biden and real Biden? Not that maybe there's that much of a difference, but like the the idea here is that technology can be so easily weaponized against us.
It
And the
is. Yeah.
initiation where people don't even know that something exists, how are they going to catch it, makes me nervous ahead of election cycle, makes me nervous. But again, the beautiful, optimistic humanity side of that is I am so grateful to technology that I can follow people like Bisan in Gaza and know what's happening and have these first person POV experiences to really know, like, not what, you know, the president wants you to know, not what these, you know, super PACs want you to know, but how are real people being affected all over the world on every side of every conflict and anything.
Yeah.
It's so important. Humanity, like, can humanity prevail? Can humanity really channel technology in our favor without losing that personal touch? These are all things that are on my heart going into this Aquarius season of life.
That is really, yeah, I feel the same way about the deep fake issue because that's also Saturn and Pisces. You can't believe what you're seeing. Like Saturn reality, Pisces the imagination, and it has a destabilizing impact on the human brain.
Yeah.
Not to be able to know what you're really seeing. Yeah. And I saw there was something this week that I was reading about where a family had got a call and it sounded like their loved one, their child, saying they were in trouble and needed all this money.
Mm-hmm.
And now families are having like safe words that they're coming up with within each other to like be aware of these kind of scams where someone could be trying to like use that terror, Pluto and Aquarius using terror with the technology to make people think something is real, is not real, and scamming them out of money is another way this technology is being used. Or like faking your bank account, like if you have voice recognition, someone faking you, pretending to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which brings
Yeah.
up a great point, right? Coming back to how to make it personal.
Mhm.
You know, what are things you can do? You can make sure that you have things like double authentication turned on for all of your accounts. You can update the passwords that have been the same for the last 10 years, myself
Yeah.
included. Like, I mean, even
And
I
they
had
should
my
not be your
personal,
dog's name or your child's name or your middle name or any of these
yeah,
things.
yeah. And my personal Instagram was hacked and deleted 2 years ago. Just poof, gone in overnight because I didn't have that two-factor set up. So it's just illustrating like how can you really protect your data, your information, your likeness. You know, being really conscious of the technology that you engage with. Like, I'm very skeptical of those apps that create AI renderings of you in different backgrounds. Like, it was viral a few months ago to put your face in this app and it would, like, you know, create you as a king or you as a,
I
you know,
remember that. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
no, because what it's doing, and there's no, you know, no fault if anyone did it, but what it's doing is it's collecting the data of your face,
Mhm.
right? And who benefits from that data collection. And also, I mean, not to get conspiratorial here, but the nature of like the police state census need to know how people are aging, right? So if you don't use social media, if you don't use these apps that collect your face and have all of the data points of how your face is
Mhm.
changing, I mean, that's part of how they keep track of people to know how. So, like, that's also actually been confirmed to a degree in Chinese intelligence. So these are things to keep in mind, right?
Yeah.
Is like consciously using technology, recognizing how it is a gift and a tool, and then in what ways we're overdoing it. And maybe we don't need to automate everything, and how can we keep the humanity still
Yeah.
prioritized?
I love that, Ocean. Oh, ma'am is asking, can my astrology chart be known without the time I was born? Well, I will let you know, ma'am, that I do a technique called chart rectification where you provide events in your life and I can help you back to calculate your birth time. Do you do rectification, Ocean?
I don't, because I know so many who are
Yeah.
fabulous at it, and I'm like, you know what? If that's your lane, I'm the first to refer you to someone I trust.
Okay, yes. So, ma'am, if you want to DM me, I can send you some information about how to get your chart rectified. It can be life changing because it'll give you your ascendant and your chart ruler and all the houses and yeah, yeah. So you can DM me, ma'am. Okay. Let's see. When someone has Pluto opposite their sun, this is from Annie's Serendipity. Pluto opposite their sun in their birth chart, does their life have a Pluto theme? What do you say to people, Ocean, with Pluto opposite their sun,
I would
or some of the things?
definitely, of course, your life has a Pluto
Mm-hmm.
theme. I mean, you have an identity that must be willing at any time to sacrifice who you are for who you could become. And it can feel like like you're in a constant state of metamorphosis. And maybe it's as simple as a soul agreement that said, I'm not going to fall complacent. I'm not going to fall asleep in this life. I'm not going to let things go on beyond their their use or their reason for being. It's a very engaged identity that's kind of always going like, is this for me? Am I who I'm meant to be? Should I be pivoting my career or changing? And so it can create a sense of hypervigilance, right? Not every day needs to be a transformative eat, pray, love experience. um, you can coast, you can have peace, you can find peace, but also, it's an identity that just made an agreement to transform when necessary. So, at least that's my interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah, and also can be about bringing secrets to life. I find Pluto, when people, especially, like, it almost feels like a little bit of a Pluto in the fourth house, where people have like deep family things that maybe aren't discussed, but you are the person who feels the need to bring things up to the surface, in order to be dealt with, which can be make other people feel uncomfortable. Or, yeah, Pluto's a higher octave of Mars, so almost like they feel like you're pushing them in a way that's uncomfortable, or they may accuse you of being manipulative or whatever, but obsessive or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of what your soul agreed to do. That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. Someone was just agreeing about the AI. Thank you, Michelle, for the badge. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Mm. Joy is asking, do we think the acceleration of technology will result in the humanitarian values or consolidating a power of the ruling class? Yeah, so are we moving? I think the choice is ours, is mine. Are we going to allow and willingly walk into totalitarianism and authoritarianism, or are we going to fight for humanity and equality and those Aquarian values? What do you think?
I think the last,
Mm-hmm.
since 2008 was the consolidation of power,
Mm-hmm.
of really seeing, the underbelly of late stage capitalism and imperialism for what it is. And so I don't think, I think what we're doing is we're figuring out actually what power do we have to radicalize, to like the power to the people is like, are protests working? What are the forms of protest available to us? Is it enough to write a cute sign with putty and glue and glitter? Or do we have to use things like our spending power and what we buy and understanding where our food comes from and whether or not our dollar power is supporting the same corporations that want to keep us separate or brainwashed or all of these different things? Is the need to rely on each other and also go grassroots instead of top down is really important. But I don't think power could be truly any more consolidated than it is right now, than it has become through Pluto and Capricorn. If you really think about it, like this is late stage capitalism, like the gig is up,
Yeah.
So in that way, just to come back to a thread of optimism, in that way, can we get through the first few years of discomfort, realizing that we were kind of sold a pipe dream and that it does fall on us to be the connectors, to be mutual aid, to be grassroots? And I think, in 5 years' time, it's going to feel more. It's going to feel more clear. But the first few years of shifting away from a dependency on the power structures that are actively taking advantage of us is going to be a culture shock. It's going to be an information war. It's going to be literal wars. And that's just part of the gig. That's just part of the transition into a new sign, particularly from that of structure to that of freedom.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that's happening on April 20th. I will say I'm having a free workshop on Sunday. If anyone wants to join, you can go to the link in my bio or astrologybyceleste.com talking about this. because yeah, Jupiter rules that like royalty and the wealthy and all of that kind of thing. And Uranus is coming to, Uranus is a great awakener. It can bring shocks and awe, and it can bring like sudden changes. So I'm really interested to see how that transit is going to show up in these like billionaire class who are holding on to unbelievable amounts of wealth. You know, Jeff Bezos with his yacht, and his girlfriend dressed like she's 20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they are the
also,
ultimate symbol of this kind of Jupiter
yeah,
and Taurus excess.
the same Bezos that has billions of dollars invested in artificial intelligence, right? So we're
Mm.
going to see a lot of these things reach a boiling point, but it's kind of like a pimple on your back that's not ready to pop yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2024 to 2026 for me, I think is the year it pops. So just hold on to your seats and remember to come back into personal sovereignty. And I've seen some questions asking, what about a Taurus sun? Or I've had a lot of comments in the last day or so going, well, what's the degree range? Or what even is degree tracking? So similarly, I have a free Substack where I'm going to post later
Oh,
today, Understanding the Degrees of Pluto, which is just witchykid.substack.com. So if anyone wants to learn more about the personal application of the degree range, when is Pluto going to affect your fixed placements personally, that information will be up soon.
oh, okay. I love that. Yeah, and the degree for the Jupiter Uranus conjunction is 21 Taurus. So if you have, especially, yeah, um, give at least 5 degrees on either side. But I think we're all experiencing this in some way, so it's impacting us all. But I love that with your Substack. I didn't realize you were a writer too. I'm going to ask you to maybe submit something for from the Open magazine, the Organization for Professional Astrology. I think we would really benefit from your wisdom.
I'd be honored. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you some information about submitting
Fabulous.
writing.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, okay. This is like, let me see. Ooh, people are loving the conversation. Oh, cameras. Yeah, Teresa's talking about all the cameras and microphones everywhere. Like you are never alone, really. Essentially, like their eyes always on us. And that Pluto, that surveillance, Pluto rules like that surveillance as well, can make people feel a little paranoid. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, writing, or if your mom doesn't know the birth time, yeah, reach out to me.
Mhm.
Mm, okay, let me see if there's anything else. Do you want to go like a quick through the different signs about how Pluto and Aquarius may be impacting or going through the houses, whichever one you think may be helpful for people to be what to be looking out for?
I want to talk about the importance of degrees for a moment,
Okay.
because I don't want people in a state of anticipation, because it is, it's an 18-year transit. So it might not be, affecting you right off the bat, right out of the gate, which is to say these themes are collective. But when it's really in your face personally, is going to depend on the degrees, right? So, keeping that in mind, that Pluto is only getting up to 2 degrees of Aquarius in 2024. So if we extend a 3-degree radius of what is felt within that vicinity, it would only be placements of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius up to 5 degrees would feel the beginning of their Pluto transit in 2024. So really thinking of that in terms of when you look at your birth chart and next to the planet and the sign, what degree does it say? If it's over 5 degrees, you're not personally feeling it start this year, but it is on the horizon, right? So that's the first thing, is I don't want people holding their breath and it's their degree range is like 10 years away. you know
You
so
may
so
feel
it's
it more the collective rather than the personal. Yeah.
yeah, so remember, astrology is very mathematical. We can get very nebulous with it and we can do all of these interpretations, but in terms of your chart, it is math.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I have a post coming up later today to walk you through that math. We don't have, no one has to like fully understand it in this moment. So again, assuming that you know or will soon know when your transit happens, right? Opposition, oppositions to me are bringing something to light, activating, going like, hey, pay attention to this, right? Notice how you need this polarity, you need this balance, you need this mirrored back to you at this time in your life. So, right, that would be Leo placements within the degree range of Pluto and Aquarius are going to feel this need to like integrate a sense of personal power and also consider the big picture and not let ego run the show either, right? So, you know, so many different interpretations of it, but in a nutshell, Pluto opposite Leo placements is going like, but why do you really want it? Confronting your imposter syndrome, confronting your fear of failure, stepping into being seen, recognizing that sometimes having an ego is a form of service because you have to be seen in order to make an impact a lot of the time. And then also, where is the ego taken too much in exchange? So that could be something that comes up for Leo folks. Do you have anything to add to the Leo opposition that people will be experiencing?
No, I think that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Leo folks are going to, yeah, feel it maybe coming in from outside of yourself in other situations. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
And I also want to state that, you know, where you feel transits the most, right, is typically up to Mars in terms of like your day-to-day life, the inner workings of your relationships, your feelings, your psyche, how you think. The moment you start looking at transits to Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, like, you know, it's bigger life themes. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but there is a hierarchy of impact. There is kind of a pyramid of what's the most intense, and then it trickles down. So really focusing on Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Descendant, Midheaven, IC. These are going to be the parts of your chart that if they are impacted by Pluto, you're going to feel more than anything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As it crosses the angles. And yeah, right now Pluto's in my seventh house and yeah, it's squaring my Jupiter. And I'm actually feeling that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the truth. It's like something that there's a truth that needs to be discussed. So it's yeah, when they're in the angular houses, first, fourth, seventh, and 10th, talking to your placements, it could be there can be also be some strong needs to deal with the themes of Pluto. And it's not bad. Like
No.
sometimes you need to have a
Yeah.
conversation. You need to bring things out into the open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Magdalena is asking if Pluto on the moon always means loss for someone through family or sickness or death, then no, not necessarily.
Wow. Yeah.
No.
I what was it, 2021 to 2020 to 2022, Pluto was squaring my natal
Mm-hmm.
moon in Aries.
Mm-hmm.
And how it manifested for me was I had to take more responsibility for my feelings. I had to set stronger emotional boundaries. I became almost allergic to any type of, you know, person in power, and just like I couldn't even. At the time I was working in a job, and I literally, like, I was like, I can't work for anyone. I can't let anyone tell me what to do if I don't respect you or the power that you hold, and how dare you. And just like, you know, mother wound coming up, but it was like this, it's an excavation process. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all cards on the table. You can't hide your hand from Pluto. So go ahead and put the cards on the table ahead of time, to soften the entry. But I think Michelle commented, with the badge, she commented about North Node in Leo. And that is kind of a soul's agreement to learn how to take up space, to not keep things at arm's length or hypothetical, or be so focused on the collective that you elude your own ego or you elude the personal experience. And that's kind of like really like initiating you into your soul, your identity, you taking up space. So I think Pluto opposite a Leo North Node is going to be really powerful. And so, okay, so that's the opposition, right? Not to fast forward over, obviously, a conjunction, something in Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with an Aquarius placement up to 5 degrees is going to begin their typical 3-year Pluto conjunction in 2024, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, whatever Pluto touches is not going to look the same in 3 years' time.
Mhm.
That's the simple answer.
Yeah, yeah. And you can look to see what planet it is. If it's a planet, what house does it rule? So,
Mhm.
yeah, so Magdalena, what house does your Aquarius moon rule? You can think about that. Aquarius also has I think just coming to me, it's like don't let yourself get too scared or let your mind go too crazy about technology. Emotionally is what I'm feeling with that Aquarius. Your relationship with friends, Aquarius, may change where you find that you are no longer in alignment with certain groups of people and you seek um, other groups. Think, Magdalena, did anything come up around the war in Israel that changed your perspective on the people, the groups, the organizations that you're involved with, or any other issue in the last year or so that you can think about? And what happened last March? Did anything come up emotionally with you when Pluto first went into Aquarius? Is what I would say to
Yeah.
Magdalena.
And for someone saying I have no Aquarius in my chart, but I'm feeling this, you have to consider, do I have planets in Leo? Do I have anything in Taurus? Do I have anything in Scorpio? Right? Because it's not just a conjunction. It's not just the sign in question that it's transiting through. It's every transit through any sign is also going to be aspecting every other sign in the same mode, which you can think of modes like family trees that these signs are grouped into, right? So we covered opposition, we covered conjunction. Squares are the most challenging in my
Mm.
mind. Squares as transits are typically where we tend to white knuckle the change. Squares create like internal roadblocks or resistance. It reveals our resistance. So with Pluto being transformation, transiting Pluto squares are revealing where you are resisting your higher transformation, where you are resisting and need to surrender. So for me, if you have placements in Taurus or Scorpio, for the duration of your Pluto transit, surrender is the name of the game.
Oh, I love that. And I'm a Taurus sun, although it's not till 12, so I've got time. But
Yeah.
I feel it when the energy when it enters the sign. Like I can feel these shifts. Yeah. And how can you feel empowered? I love empowered as a word for
Yeah.
Pluto.
Yeah.
Empowerment, evolution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Pluto.
I don't want to overtake too. I don't want to over your time, unless you have do you have a couple more minutes to talk about the trines and the sextiles, or do you have a hard stop?
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay.
might as well
Yeah.
cover
So
them
let's
all.
talk about air signs
Yeah.
so with your if you're a Gemini or a Libra, Pluto going into Aquarius, you may not notice it as much because it's not a hard aspect, but there is some kind of transformation you're going under if you have early degrees
Yeah.
there. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So Pluto trines are kind of like I, I work in analogies because it helps ground everything for my Virgo Mars, but it's kind of and maybe this is a bad analogy actually, but sometimes Pluto oppositions are squares. It's kind of like the bully on the playground that like they test you, but it builds your character,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of sucks in the moment, but looking back, you're like, I went through what I went through for a reason. It's a Pluto trine is like the most popular kid in school brings you into their clique. And it's like, ooh, like I feel elevated by association. The mean girl isn't being mean to me. She's brought me into the clique. So I think that there's this elevation of Pluto also ruling focus, like true, like straight to the heart of the matter type of focus. For air signs where mental mastery can be such a growth curve because of your multitudes and all of your different interests, and you often have lots of irons in the fire. And so trining Pluto, again, degree range matters, but when you are trined by Pluto, you might feel an urge to like hyperfixate on something, to really double down, to really choose one outlet or topic or subject to master as opposed to like, the sample plate, the sample platter that air signs are so accustomed to.
I love that. Yes. Oh, this is a great question from Sarah. She she says, does it affect your Libra sun at 27 degrees? Well, yes, you've been going through a Pluto transit. Pluto's been squaring your sun for the last several
Yeah,
years. What has been brought up within you about your identity? How has it transformed and changed?
yeah,
Yeah, think about some of the struggles over the last several years where you came up against tension and
yeah.
something was unearthed within you. I would say that. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, going from a square to, well, it'll trine you in like 16 years. So you have a little bit of break from
Yeah.
all the Pluto energy, give or take a year, but it's a decade away at least. But yeah, I mean that 27-degree square would have been, yeah, up until really a year ago. It was really intense.
Hmm.
So, mm, um, like when it was exact degree, I mean, but the in terms of trines, we know there's something that in air signs is going to feel emboldened to really focus and dial in and reclaim the energy that gets so scattered, and really like a laser pointer, just like a cat following a laser, just so dialed in, so locked in. I think we're going to see some really incredible things out of air signs with that Pluto trine, because it's going to add this sense of like importance and almost like I'm going to double down energy.
I love that. And with the sextile to Aries and Sagittarius, these fire signs, there's opportunity. I love the word opportunity for sextiles. Opportunities to be empowered,
Yeah.
to examine the truth about things. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah. It's just kind of like Pluto's just giving you a pep talk if it's sextiling you, it's like you can do what you want and you can do what you set your mind to, and you've got the fortitude and the resilience and the passion to make it happen. So really honing in on the areas I experience passion as those sextiled signs as being boosted by Pluto, because there's nothing Pluto sextiles want more than to invest in your passion, to support that. So be very clear with yourself and with Pluto in collaboration that here's the thing that I really want to double down on.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think we have a really important opportunity over the next several weeks, because what is going to happen first, the Sun and Pluto will move into Aquarius
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. So notice what comes up within you around these topics we've discussed. And then we're going to have Mercury, Mars, and Venus. Mercury rules our thought processes, communication. Mars, how we take action, our drive, and also conflict. Venus, what we love, how we connect. They're all going to meet Pluto before the end of February. So this is a really great opportunity for us to see on a personal level if this transit, what's it's bringing up from us, for ourselves personally, I think.
Absolutely. And I think just to address, you know, yourself best.
Mm-hmm.
Your lived experience is factoring in that you have a one of a kind chart that no one else on this planet has. So these, the context of describing things as a trine, a sextile, a square, an opposition, they are guiding points, they are jumping off points, but your experience is yours alone, and no one on the internet, no guide or teacher or astrologer can have any type of trump card over your lived experience. So, taking this as a jumping off point, but certainly not gospel, I think is important.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. And Michelle's like, help, Taurus Sun and Scorpio Moon. You will be all right, Michelle. Yeah. And they like bring up stuff with the Taurus Sun and Scorpio Moon. You were born during a full moon. So how you relate to other people may need to go through some kind of transformation about your identity and your relationships. Identity, sun, relation, the moon has to do with the relationships as well as emotions and things, and how we connect and nurture ourselves and others may go through some evolution, I think. Oh, thank you for the badge, Alexandra. Yeah, this has been, I could talk to you for the rest of the day, Ocean. This has been such a great conversation. I am going to respect your time, and I'll share, allow you to collaborate if you want to put this on your wall as well. This was so fantastic. Yeah, I
And
love it.
I mean, I adore you, and I am such a big fan of yours, and I'm, just so grateful we got to do this together. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and yeah, just remembering your personal power going into this transit. And thank you, Celeste, for facilitating this and holding such a beautiful space on your page.
Oh, my pleasure. And so tell everybody how they can find you again.
Yeah.
Give your Substack again and your website, anything else or anything coming up you want to share with people?
Yeah, so again, if you want like more like how is this affecting me personally, I'm going to put up a free post on my Substack, which is just Witchy Kid. I think it's witchykid.substack.com, and you can subscribe. There's plenty of free content there, and then for $5 a month, I also do monthly overviews. So I detail exactly what's happening every month and add other resources. Like I just did a long deep dive into the houses, over 150 explanations of every planet, node, and Chiron in all of the 12 houses. So there are like educational resources like that behind the paywall, but feel free to subscribe for free. And there's plenty of stuff in there as well. And yeah, I'm Witchy Kid on Instagram, and yeah, those are the things I'm most passionate about right now.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ocean. We will have to do this again. And you take care. And I hope the Pluto transit into Aquarius brings everyone a something beautiful, unearth something beautiful within you, that butterfly energy. Yeah. A little
Absolutely.
uncomfortable, but it will butterfly.
Thank you, Celeste.
You're welcome. Take good care, Ocean.
You too. Bye.
Bye.